why it's important to prepare for current affairs and the rest of the happenings in the world.
Right. So right now, what one needs to understand is who's going to interview you. So most of the time, it's the faculty members. So most of the times, what they're trying to gauge is what is going to be your value addition in the classroom, right? So to put that forward, what you need to do, not just read up with respect to current affairs, especially with respect to the nation mein, what is the government doing, the politics, what is happening, right? Because there's a lot happening right now, right? So not just reading about it, but forming an opinion about it. Okay, forming an opinion which would lead to a constructive discussion is the goal of what you need to do, right? Because अपने को सिर्फ information उठा के उधर throw नहीं करना है. We are not going to spray and pray in front of the interviewer. So that's something important. Something that I used to do while consuming information on a daily basis is maintain an Excel sheet that I continue to do even for my summer placement ka practice. So what we would do in that is there were a bunch of friends that who shared a Google Excel sheet file. So what we would do it every day, 5 important articles from different domains. We would be posting the link over there and our summary and our take on it. Okay. So अगर 2 लोगों या 3 लोगों ने भी मिलके कर लिया, so this gives you a good repository of different perspectives and information. What is important according to you and what is important according to the other person also. अगर ये छोटा सा exercise, I'm just asking you to do 5 on a daily basis, right? Of course, as the preparation goes forward, information that you consume will increase also. But अगर आप 5 article भी करते हो किसी friend के साथ, अगर ये collaboration में करते हो, this becomes a very good practice, and your mind and your muscle also gets into that habit of forming an opinion. So that's something that you could take away.
Perfect. Just to add what Manohar said, see guys, there are 2 things that you need to take into consideration as far as your PI is concerned, or your VAT is concerned, or your GD is concerned, whatsoever. Most of the colleges, I mean, from my experience, being a panelist to a couple of B school, if you had a VAT, I'll definitely ask you something on the VAT. कि भाई तुम्हारा क्या topic था, and what do you think about it? Now understand this. अगर मैं पुराना time देखता हूँ, maybe last decade of your GDPI VAT, it was different. Now it is different. So जो GDPI के बारे में बात करते हैं, या फिर हम जो PI या फिर VAT के बारे में हम बात करते हैं, it is quite important for you all to understand that there are things happening differently in the colleges, at least top 30 B schools in the country. Now there is a huge supply and a less demand. So IIM Ahmedabad के लिए अगर मैं बात करूँ, there are around about 399 seats or 400 seats, for which there are 1300 students who are getting called. So that's 1/3 of the Janta will get selected. Okay. Now there are a lot of things which have been opinionated. So there is somebody who's from IT Bombay with, let's say, 10, 10, 9, whatsoever, 10, 10, 8, whatsoever, being a gold medalist in graduation, blah, blah, blah. If that person gets interviewed by XYZ panel from the IIM Ahmedabad side, his interview went smoothly. Okay. He wrote about it somewhere on the social media. So that is one scenario. But there are other students also jinka interview screw up ho jata hai. And that is most important thing for you all to understand, that why interview, probably, what happens in the interview, क्यों interview हमारा screw up होता है. Because there are 2 type of बच्चा लोग which are always bifurcate. Number 1, who are coming up with really good academics, really good profile, Olympiad करा है, gold medal करा है, ये वो. There are another type of students जहाँ पे you are a notch above the average, not have done a lot of things in the not have done everything in the world, right? Maybe gold medalist नहीं है, फिर 999 नहीं है, 8888, कोई gender diversity से आया, कोई work ethic लेके आया. यार आप लोगों को ना ज़्यादा push करने की ज़रूरत है. Push हर एक को करना पड़ेगा. The only point of view is that you are not supposed to prepare in a stereotypical way, because that's not going to help you to get stand out in the interview. So what Manohar rightly said, you have to have your own opinion. Now, just to come up with the example, if you are let's say if you are speech and finance ka student, right? Or if you go to FMS or ABC, whatever call it, and they ask you, okay, do you think that the current stock market is a bubble or it's overvalued? And you just cannot say that, okay, it's not a bubble, or you just can't talk about liquidity in the market. You can't do that. As a smart person, you need to tell them, okay, how do you define a market which is overvalued? What are the metrics that you use as a financial analyst to define a market which is overvalued? Number 1. Number 2, they will probably talk about BSc ka PE, you can talk about NSC ka PE, you can talk about FDI, FII ka funding, sorry, you can talk about DIIs and FII ka liquidity in the market, you can talk about those numbers. Now, if I have two students right in front of me, एक बंदा बोलता है कि no, you know what sir, the market is not overvalued. आपने बोला मैंने एकदम वर्बल का फंडा लगा के yes no में मैं आपको आंसर दे दिया, I'm done for it. Nothing wrong in that approach. तूने yes बोल दिया ठीक है, no बोल दिया ठीक है. I won't bother to ask you if my day is not good as a panel. I will not bother to ask you why do you think it's overvalued and why do you think it's not overvalued. But that's the point. If you really want your interview, it can happen anywhere. Summer, final, कहीं भी हो सकता है. If you really want सामने वाला बंदा to listen to you, always give him something that other people in the competition will probably not be able to sort of provide him with that information. Then you can start. You know what? Okay, let's start from a basic level, sir. Let's say, how do you define that overvalued or undervalued? Tak, tak, tak. So when you give them a pointers like 1, 2, 3, 4, they're going to get really impressed. Because कुछ भी हो जाए, जो पैनल बैठता है, उसमें 2-3 टाइप के लोग होते हैं. एक alumni होता है जिसको चाहिए कि भाई मेरा कॉलेज में जो बंदा जाएगा वो तोफ हो. एक फैकल्टी होता है वो बोलता है कि यार मेरे सामने जो बच्चा के बैठे क्लासरूम में वो एक इंटेलिजेंट बंदा हो या फिर वो ट्रेनेबल हो. So that's where he says that you have to have your own point of view. You just can't tell कि ये सही है ये गलत है. Why ये सही है why ये गलत है. आज राहुल गांधी ने एक कमेंट मारा, हिंदू और हिंदुत्व ये दोनों अलग चीजें हैं. क्यों अलग चीजें हैं? How do you define that? वो बंदा तो बोल के गया, उसने न्यूज़ दे दिया, उसने डिफाइन नहीं करा. So you need to have that perspective and always remember. तो आप कहोगे कि इसका क्या जरूरत है? मैं नॉर्मली भी तो जाके बोल सकता हूँ. मैं ये नहीं कर रहा हूँ कि आपको इतना हाई लेवल पे प्रिपेयर करना है. अगर आप करोगे, you stand out in the crowd. नहीं करोगे, then there is a probability कि होगा कि नहीं होगा. So the ball is in your court. The better you are in the interview, you've got better chances to get converted. And that's the reason people with low percentile are converting these schools than the top notch. Like Arushi karke thi, I think Pooja interviewed her. Arushi karke, there was a student, SRCC alumna. She did a graduation from SRCC. She was 999 mere khayal se. At 95th percentile, she is inside IIM Bangalore, a non-engineer girl. That's a big achievement. At 88th percentile, you guys in IIM Ahmedabad. That's a big achievement. So you got to stand out in the interview. So yeah, rightly said by Manohar. Current affair आपको पढ़ना है, देखना है, जानना है क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में, सब करना है. एवरग्रांडे क्राइसिस हो गया, राइट, ओमिक्रॉन हो गया, डेल्टा हो गया, जो भी है वो सब हम आपको पढ़ा देंगे. हम आपको उसका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू भी बताएंगे, हम आपको वो टेक्निकलिटीज भी बता देंगे. We just want you to be ready for it. Anyway, I'll stop here. Move ahead with Simran. Simran, go ahead.
Yeah, sir. I think mainly like Manohar covered all of it, and right now is the time to get on like with your current affairs, because after the calls start coming out, you'll start getting anxious. Right now you have time, and right now is the time where you can get a lead. And another thing that sir pointed out about standing out in the interview, another thing that you can do that, another way that you can do that by is, having your energy, like having your enthusiasm, showing that to the interviewers, because there are people who might, because all you need to do is stand out. They're selecting the best out of the lot that they have. So you have to show that you are the best out of what they have to interview. So show energy, even if you've been waiting for 4 hours or whatever it is, just show energy, be enthusiastic, and be enthusiastic with your preparation as well. Content is very important when it comes to PI and VAT.
I mean, I can vouch for what these two are saying because let me tell you, I mean, no offense and no hard feelings for any other B school and Pooja particularly because you are here. But मुझे लगता है कि FMS के बच्चे ये लोगों ने 99.44 लाया, 99.17 लाया, और ऐसा नहीं कि ये शॉर्टेड थे, इनको और ज्यादा फोड़ना पड़ा because FMS has rigorous interview process. It's not that easy to crack it. And I think मेरे ख्याल से even Pooja went through a lot of heat, at least for IIM K का call. कैप वगैरह तो उसका अच्छा सा गया था. तो ये भी आपको जानना जरूरी है कि whatever these guys are saying, ये like पत्थर की लकीर कि आपको ये करना ही है. Definitely, we don't want to give you fake motivation saying that अरे तेरा तो हो जाएगा तो कर लेगा वो. No, I mean some of the panelists we have seen that they even look out for the way you talk, grammatical mistake. I didn't Google it. I get lost. It's like not happy, dude, not happy because you are the guys who will be sitting right in front of MBB and Goldman and Deutsche and Amazon and वो बात का बात है, तेरा प्रोफाइल शॉर्टलिस्ट हो गए अंदर ना होए, पर एटलीस्ट जब मैं प्रेजेंट करता हूँ मेरे बच्चों को MBB के सामने, एटलीस्ट उसका कुछ तो वैल्यू हो. उधर जाके बोलेगा डिडंट गूगल इट तो बेटा फिर तो लग गया, फिर तो खत्म है फिर सब, राइट. वो चीजें जानना बहुत जरूरी है. पूजा मैम, कमिंग बैक टू यू, व्हाट आर योर टेक ऑन दिस करंट अफेयर्स?
My take would be A very important thing which I would consider here, everybody talked about content, but I think the way you communicate also makes a larger chunk of it, because everybody knows what is happening around, what is Omicron, how different is it, how similar is it, etc., so on and so forth. But the way you structure your thoughts and the way you present it to the panelist, because the panelist is taking interviews since so many days, since morning he's sitting, you might be the first person, you might be the last person to be interviewed. You never know what the mood of the panel is. अगर तुमसे पहले कोई एक बंदा बहुत कुछ तो उनका दिमाग खराब करके गया है, then probably you are the one who is going to be facing the heat, and you never know what they are looking for. Because during my lectures at the B school, we have been told that they come with a proper set of skill set that they require in a candidate. So they have all those parameters set, they have their sheets, they have their numbers ready, that we want 1, 2, 3 criteria in every candidate that we select for a B school. So that is very well thought after. And if you don't present your content or whatever thoughts you have in a structured manner, you don't have a clarity of thought to what you're speaking, then I think it's a problematic thing. So first thing is you have to learn to how to structure your thoughts point by point. Second thing is when you're forming opinions, like forming an opinion is vital, but again, how it fits in the big picture, what kind of impact it will have in the long term, in the short term, what the stakeholders involved will be in that. Understanding all that also becomes very, very important, because often it is understood by the panel कि सब लोग opinion form करके आए हैं, कुछ तो YouTube से video देख के आए हैं, कुछ तो Dhruv Rathi या somebody something. So somebody has watched some video, they formed some opinion, they're speaking about it. The panel will ask, what if this turns out to be this? What impact it will have? What are your thoughts on it? So then you get stuck because you have ratified something which is not yours. So you need to understand how well it fits in the big picture, who will get impacted when things change, or how can you bring it back? Because that is how management students work, even in the B school when you're solving case studies. So they look for that thought process. Otherwise, it's no use if they are just giving you books and you're just ratifying and produce. It's absolutely no use if you don't have that thought process. So first thing, understanding what you're speaking is very important. Second thing, how you speak is very important. And one more thing, there are many students who feel that they aren't from English medium background or their communication is poor. But at all the top B schools, it has been observed that content is valued much more than your language. So if you speak in a structured way, if you speak slowly, word by word, it is much more valuable than speaking some random shit in some fancy English. So content is very important. The way you communicate is very important. Also, people who aren't from English medium background, who feel they aren't good with communication, have no disadvantage, absolutely no disadvantage.
So I'd like to add another point here, that presence of mind is also very important. You need to understand what